I'm Toby Matthiesen, a research fellow here at Pembroke in Islamic and Middle Eastern Studies, and I wrote the book called Sectarian Gulf, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the Arab Spring That Wasn't. And that book is an account of how the Arab uprisings impacted on the Gulf states. I chose the term McCarthyism because while in the book I mainly focus on the kind of stigmatization of Shia minorities across the Gulf as kind of, the bad players in a way, those that, protest and so on and are not loyal to the state and should be either expelled or put under particular scrutiny and so on. I think in the last year, we've seen that this kind of mentality of the rulers, that you're either with us or against us, and anyone who's against us will be dealt harshly, and anyone who's with us has to show their loyalty constantly. In many ways, the kind of anti-Shia narrative has been not replaced, but kind of has got a new dimension by a new anti-Muslim Brotherhood rhetoric across the region. And so I think McCarthyism, in a way, explains that a bit better. In some ways, the Gulf states are, of course, different from the North African countries that have first experienced these revolutions. But at the same time, they have many similarities. So, for example, they share one public sphere, the Arab public sphere. And many of the media, the television channels and so on that were actually driving the protests in Egypt, in Tunisia, for example, were based in the Gulf. And so people have one language and are very interested in what's going on in other countries. So very early on, when the Tahrir Square and the other protests materialized, activists in the Gulf states thought we should do something similar. But in the beginning, the calls were not like in these other states for fall of the regime, but for reform, because the political systems are different. Then in some cases this turned into more radicalized demands, such as in Bahrain and to a certain extent also in Kuwait and in the Saudi Eastern province. But in general, the demands are more reformist, whereas in the other states, most protest movements in the other Arab states are now calling for the downfall of the former regime, or have achieved that, or have things have been replaced with a new one. So reform isn't really an issue anymore. One of the arguments that the book is trying to make is also that the monarchies were really affected by the Arab Spring and shaken to the bones, but that they and that the way in which they have become engaged across the region really also depends and is shaped by the ways in which protests at home manifested itself. So I think this interplay between the local politics and the international is key and is sometimes not taken into account so much in our analysis of the region.